Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Josh Guerrero, and this is the All Around Adventure podcast. Whether you're joining me for the first time or if you've been listening for a while now, as always, I certainly do want to welcome you here, and I also want to thank you for being here today. I know there's a ton of other great podcasts out there that you could be listening to, but the fact that you decided to download and listen to this one, I really appreciate it, and I certainly don't take it for granted. And if you are new to this podcast and you're not entirely sure what we're all about here, this is the show where you hear amazing tales from afar and get the all-important life lessons that go along with them. And this is done through 3 different shows now on this podcast. I got my regular show, which is an interview show where you get to hear stories from myself as well as the amazing travelers that I welcome on this podcast as well. I have another solo cast called The Blog Readings, or TBR for short, which is exactly how it sounds, right? Just read my blog posts, both past and present, for you to have an audio format on the go. And the last show that I have is the one that you're listening to right now, and this is your Wisdom Wednesday segment, where every single Wednesday I talk for about 5 minutes, give or take, just covering a single topic, either pertaining to self-development and or travel. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. I got myself a good topic that I want to share with you all, and this is the topic on building relationships. And I actually just kind of came up with this idea just before I came up to this microphone to record. I just got off the phone with a friend of mine, and it was something that we had sort of discussed because he and I, we were kind of talking about some of the visions that we have for 2020 and how we both want to grow our own brands moving forward. And the topic of and the value of building strong relationships and connections certainly came up. And I certainly do agree. I've kind of found that as I've been trying to grow all around adventure, just the connections I've been able to form with other people and how I've been able to kind of grow from making those connections has definitely been very valuable to me. And it took a while for me to get to this point because I'm actually introverted by nature. And, you know, kind of growing up, I always sort of kind of just kept to myself, and I was able to achieve a lot on my own. But I recently kind of got humbled a little bit, a couple years back, and just realized that, if I really want to try to make something out of all around adventure or just other aspects of my life too, I'm going to need a little bit of help. And so it really kind of just came to just, seeking out like mentors, coaches, or other like-minded individuals that were on the path, maybe not the same path as I am with podcasting per se, but, they're out pursuing other amazing things in their life too. So just really connecting with those people has, again, like I said, definitely been very valuable to me. But a couple things to know when it comes to building strong and meaningful and valuable relationships is that it's got to become a symbiotic relationship, meaning that, yes, you're going to benefit and win from having this relationship with certain individuals or groups, but they also have to be able to win by aligning with you as well. And there's a couple of ways that I do that, not only with the guests that I have come on my podcast, but other people too, where if I ever invite someone to come on the podcast, one of the things that I always want to tell them is that I will gladly promote their blogs, their businesses, their books, whatever it is that, they have and that they're putting out there in the world, or the value that they're trying to share. I always leave a segment towards the end of the show for them to talk about it. And I also make sure that I, provide links in the show notes. That way my listeners can go and find them too. Because a lot of times is that depending on what sort of platform that my guests might come from, a lot of them might be, let's say, travel bloggers, and, they tell their story a lot in text format, but I also want to make sure that they get the outlet to share their story in a different way, in this case, through audio and podcasting, because it's very helpful, obviously, for me to have my guests come on the show because, obviously I can get the content to keep the content consistent and keep this podcast going, but I want to make sure I can do something for them, in time as well. So again, whether that's just, leaving them like, a segment, tagging them in social media, whatever I can to help them, kind of boost like what it is that they're trying to do as well. I certainly want to help them with that. So keep that in mind whenever you're trying to form relationships with people. out there. And like I said, it's just relationships are certainly valuable. I say, like, overall, we as humans, we are social creatures. If you think back to the times of our ancient ancestors, tribes were the ones that thrived, and those that, we got separated from the tribe and had to survive on their own had a much difficult time doing that, without having the support of being with the tribe. So, and I think that still very much carries on today. So that's just what I want to talk about really quick, about the value of building strong relationships and things to consider when you're going out to seek building strong relationships with other influential people or people who are, again, striving to do amazing things, just like how you are striving to do amazing things. And I'm assuming that since you are listening to this podcast, I'm sure there is a certain facet of your life or a certain something in your life that you're striving for as well. So that's all I want to talk about today. I really hope you found this beneficial, this short episode. Again, if there's anything else that you'd like to hear on these Wisdom Wednesday segments, any certain topics or tips that you'd like me to try to share, by all means, do feel free to connect with me and let me know. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at All Around Adventure, and you can find me at Twitter at All Around Advent, or you can shoot me an email at josh@allaroundadventure.com. And if you did find this valuable, again, I don't charge any money for these podcast episodes as well. These podcasts are certainly free from you, but what I certainly would ask is that you share this podcast with a friend or family member who you think will find it beneficial as well. Also, please do head over to iTunes. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. Only takes about 2 to 3 minutes. But I tell you, those ratings reviews are critical for, I guess, tweaking the, iTunes algorithm and get us trending higher so that way more people can find this podcast and get some value from it as well. And I thank you very much again for all your support and for tuning in today. It's been my pleasure to put this episode out there for you all, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast. And I can't thank you enough. And I'll be back on Saturday with a brand new episode of the blog reading. So be sure to check back in. But until then, though, I'm Josh Guerrero saying be safe, happy travels, and always move forward.